business. Okay, I'm going to be talking to you about artificial intelligence in business. And the reason I want to talk to you about this kind of thing is my role, I'm going to get into this a little bit. I tend to be the dumbest person in the room. So I feel very comfortable right now. So I'm not going to try and explain to you what AI does. I know you guys all know it, you're all technology background. What I want to try and explain to you today are two use cases on how basically you can get paid for your ideas. Long story short, right? So before I get started, a little bit about me. So my name is Harrison Ambs. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of a company called Vectra Digital. We're right down the road. I also helped found a technology, software, and IT company called Stickboy in 2008. I'm a two-time 40 under 40 winner. I really honestly hate this slide. So look, just do it. I'm not going to read it off. All right, you good? 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 Okay, good. All right, so the way I want you guys to think about AI when it comes to business. So my role as a Chief Strategy Officer is I sit down with business owners, with investors, with people that are, let's say, old and have money. And they own, or they either own businesses that they want to scale and grow, or they want to invest in new initiatives that they want to use to grow either a completely new company or a division inside their own company. And so my role is to sit down with them to understand how their business operates, where they get their income from, how do they service their customer, what do their internal operations look like. Because what I want to do is I want to understand the machinations of their business so we can best identify how technology can help basically speed up that process, all right? And essentially what we're trying to do is, if you take nothing away from everything I talk about in my incoherent ramblings up here, is this. AI can allow businesses, or any business, to create efficiencies in the margins of how they operate. And that's how they're going to scale. Okay, and I'll explain to you what that kind of means if you've never dealt with this. Real quick, how many here do AI development for another business? Like professionally, like you get paid to do this. Like you have to explain this to an executive why they have to keep writing you a check. Sort of? Yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so how many of you guys actually want to do that? Like want to have an application you created, want to go out, find an investor in a room like Shark Tank and explain to them, this is how I'm going to change the world. How many of you guys want to have a job where you do this, where you have a boss breathing down your neck and annoying you no end, and like let's say, pestering you about it, right? And that you want to be able to do this professionally, probably a bunch of you, right? So what I want to do is kind of help you understand how they view technology, how it affects their bottom line, their business. So when you're talking to them about your idea, your concept, or how you can affect their bottom line, you can sort of speak business to them, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if you've noticed, there are no CEOs walking through this door to sit down here to learn how any of this stuff works. Anybody see like a Fortune 500 CEO walk in this room in the past? This is the first time I've been to one of these, so I might be wrong. No? No, it's all technology people, right? Okay, yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to give you two case studies I'm going to walk you through. BPA plus AI equals good stuff. So for real quick, how many people, show of hands, and by the way, this is going to be interactive, and if you guys don't show your hands, I'm going to start calling volunteers to get up here, and I'm going to embarrass you. How many people understand business process automation? How many people have done this kind of thing before? Very cool. All right. So business process automation is an amazing place and an amazing fertile ground for artificial intelligence. What we're trying to do here effectively is take an aspect of a business, and we're effectively trying to do one of two things, okay? We're either trying to solve a problem or create an opportunity, all right? The reason why these are bucketed in two different ways is because they have two different kinds of needs and two different kinds of outcomes when we're talking about a business. If we're trying to solve a problem, we're talking about inefficiency and we're talking lost revenue. We're talking about spending too much on a software tool that we can't use or we don't use effectively. If we're talking about creating opportunity, we're talking about new investment. Usually has some kind of upfront cost that we're trying to get a return on investment for. So it's a different kind of world that you're kind of dealing in, but ultimately you're trying to do one of these two things with any program that you make inside a business. So if you can just kind of understand when you're trying to pitch your idea to an outside investor that has a limited understanding of how you do what you do, Bucketing it into one of these two things is going to go a long way to help you do that. So I got two case studies I'm going to kind of walk you through. These are clients of Stick Boys. We had them various times. So one was like 2012, and one was like 2019 or so. Then carried over into 2020. First one is a logistics company for CPAP and respiratory systems. Anybody have a CPAP machine? Anybody have like a parent or a grandparent that smoked for 50 years and got the oxygen tank and type of thing, right? So one of our clients was a company that delivered those to the home. I'm going to kind of walk you through what we did for them. The other one is a home services business specializing in hurricane protection. Because of NDAs, I cannot tell you who it is. I can guarantee you've seen their trucks on the market, but you've seen them around. First thing I'm going to talk about is the CPAP respiratory equipment company, okay? So essentially, this is what they were. They were a logistics company. They have a warehouse in Fort Myers. They have a series of drivers that are out on the road that have all of their vans loaded with equipment and a list of deliveries that they have to give out during the course of the day. When we showed up, what we found out is the way they did this was, I'm going to walk you through this and laugh at any point if you want. It's perfectly fine. This client of ours was like from 5 years ago. We showed up, it was me, two other people, and we were going to go on a ride along because we wanted to see what this looked like. Because we just had this explained to us. And so like, all right, let's see what it looks like in operation. I get in the van, and I see a filing cabinet between the two seats. The driver pulls out the filing cabinet and starts leafing through reams of paper, clipping them to clipboards, and then starts stacking them in the dashboard, prepped in order of all of his deliveries, okay? This is a multi-million-dollar company with vans with filing cabinets inside, okay? If they got into an accident, like, they're just fucked, like, there's no doubt about it, right? So at the beginning of the day, what the drivers had to do is they had to go to the warehouse, they had to get a selection of all their deliveries for the day, they had to take all their inventory, load it in the truck, again, paper. Take everything, write it down, mark everything off, and then it was in carbon paper. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like old school. Yeah, right? Yeah, so 2 sheets, right? So one went in the truck, the other one went for the warehouse person to be able to consolidate at the end of the day. Then what happened is they had to drive around for all their jobs, literally written down. The only technology they used was their phone when they looked up the GPS. That was the only tech inside this company, was the driver's personal cell phone, looking this kind of thing up. And that's what they did, is they just ran around and knocked it all out. Now, obviously lots of problems with this situation, right? I mean, first off, everything's on paper too. If something were to happen and let's say the driver took a turn too fast and all the clipboards shifted on the dashboard, but now his order is completely thrown out. The biggest issue that they actually ran into wasn't that. It wasn't the paper. It wasn't the clipboards. It wasn't the multiple pieces of paper that they had to deal with. See, the issue was a little bit more real world than that. The problem we had to solve when we first started with them was this, dispatching. So at the end of the day, let's say you are all driving around and you're making your deliveries. And you accepted your job for an extra 40 minutes because you find out the person that was there needed 3 extra filters that you didn't know about when you made the delivery. You don't have the time, and nor would you, get in your van, drive back to the warehouse, do the whole paperwork, get 3 more filters, drive back to the person, and then hand them to them. No, you're going to grab it off the truck, you're going to give it to them, and you can write it down. I gave them 3 extra filters. And now you're 40 minutes behind. So what happens is every single job that you have the rest of the day is going to be late. So at the end of the day, what this company had was a dispatcher. Very smart, very, very smart guy. Giant dude, tattoos, big, great beard, rode Harleys, but this is what his job was. At the end of the day, what he did is he would call you, and you, with his cell phone, yellow pad of paper, and he would find out how many jobs you have at 3 o'clock at the end of the day. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You're 40 minutes behind. So what he wants to do is find out, okay, what deliveries do you have left on your sheet that you have to go through? And he writes it down on a piece of yellow paper. And he calls everybody else, and what he does on this piece of paper is he consolidates all the deliveries that are happening that day, what inventory everybody has in their trucks, and then he coordinates them to meet up. So then what will happen is he'll call you back and say, hey, great, you, I'm going to have you meet up with Jeff, and then you're going to have to go to the Wawa on the corner of Veterans and Parkway. He's going to give you there. He's going to give you his job at the end of the day, and then you got to take 2 air tanks out of it and move it into yours. So now, at the end of the day, when you guys all get back to the warehouse and you turn in all your paperwork, he's got a yellow scratch pad that completely breaks everything that these people did. So now that business has to pay, I think at the time it was like 4 people to stay late, to consolidate all this paperwork and match it, because insurance companies need to reimburse for all this work. This company is not going to get paid until that paperwork is set and sent to the insurance company. Do you think that owner is going to accept? Yes, we will get, yes, that's fine. We will get paid next week. No, everybody's staying late until this is done. That is how this business operated for like years. So what we wanted to do with them was to create an environment that would facilitate this using effectively a very simplified version of artificial intelligence, okay? Okay, I probably should have done some beginning. I usually do this with every single time I talk about AI. How many people here, raise show of hands, already familiar with AI? How many of you know the difference between a first, third, second, and third wave AI? Okay, okay, cool. All right, so first wave AI is Netflix. First wave AI is you like this movie, you also like this movie, I'm gonna recommend a third movie to you. It is one person that we're building this model off of. Second wave AI is you like this movie, you like this movie, and so if you pick a different movie, I'm gonna recommend it to you because you two match. That's second wave AI. Now the thing with where we're at right now, which is third wave AI, and Amazon does this too, right? So like you bought these shoes, other people like these shoes, that's second wave AI. The difference between second wave and third wave AI is you need a human being to say, yes, this is actually correct. I do want to buy these shoes, or I do want to buy these. Third wave AIs are sophisticated enough to understand what success looks like. So the model is built in such a way that when the AI executes whatever that task is or makes that decision, it knows at the other end yeah, this worked. Okay, cool. So I know I made the right decision. I can use that when I make the next decision down the road. So the AI that we built for them was a little bit more rudimentary, but you can kind of understand the use case of what we're trying to do. So we're sitting down with this business owner, and we're trying to explain to him why, one, we want to get rid of the filing cabinets and put in iPads. Second, we wanted to move everything to GPS, and third, we want to make this paperless, because with those 3 things, what we can do is build an artificial intelligence that automatically dispatched. See, if we know when you make a delivery, the products that are on your van, because at the beginning of the day, you logged it in the program, and then the centralized, really it was a cloud server that we set up on AWS, but basically all of the dispatcher, all the drivers are sending back to a central location. They're sending back, these are the jobs I went on, these are the products I left off, I was late because I had to drop off 3 filters I wasn't anticipating. Well, now this AI can identify that you and you are right by each other. Hey, Mr. Dispatcher, this guy's 40 minutes behind. He has the products that he needs and he's 10 minutes away from the job. Should I just real quick, one button click, throw this job over to him? You get a push notification that says, hey, you got a new job you got to run to. Take care of this, and then that automatically syncs up with the inventory system back in the warehouse. See, what it does is it doesn't necessarily replace the person, but what it does is it allows that person to be more effective at their job. It solves a problem. It's the margins, okay? This little program that we made, this little AI, as simple as it is, it's not going to be something that you're going to see win awards on whatever AI award company is out there. I don't know, the weddings. Somebody's gonna have an AI award out there, right? No? Maybe we should do that. Seriously, like you make insane amounts of money when you run these things because you get it on both ends. See, you get it. You charge for people to apply. All right, look, we apply for a lot of awards, and I think it's a racket because you have to pay to do the application, and then when you win, you have to pay to get the award. So you get paid on, it's costing on both ends. So anyway, let's do that when we're done with this. It's not going to win, like it's not revolutionary, but for this business, it saves them on the margins because what it does is it streamlines their operations. It allows them to get paid faster, and it allows them to have redundancy for that one dispatcher that if he's the only one that knows how to do this job and he's really good at it, what happens if he gets sick? What happens if he gets hit by a car? What happens if he decides to leave and go somewhere else? This business is screwed. So by having this kind of redundancy built in, it allows you to train somebody. They don't have to learn how to call 18 different drivers and use a yellow pad. They just have to be sitting in front of a program that already has that logic built into it, makes the decisions for them, and they just have to understand the business enough to say, yes, I want to do that. Does that make sense? So when you're talking about AI and you're trying to pitch this to a business and you're trying to make sure you get paid, you have to understand the kind of use cases. You have to understand the lock that you're trying to open. If you can understand that from their point of view, then when you're pitching your idea to them, your solution to them, you don't have to get into weeds about the technology and everything that goes into it. For the life of me, I have no idea what we actually program that computer in. Like, that is not my job. My job is to talk to a business owner and get them excited about what it is that the very smart people come up with. So if you're able to build this skill, then when you're talking to investors, or you're talking to a boss, or you're talking to somebody that swiped right on Tinder, you're able to get them excited. It is swipe right, right? I'm like 40, okay? I got married like 16. I got married before all this. Is this my fault? Yeah, it's because I'm missing. Okay. All right. So yeah, so when you're trying to get somebody excited about what it is that you're producing here, that's how you do it. You make it relatable. The other use case I want to go, and this is a little bit more complicated, was it was a sales tool for a hurricane protection company. This was a little bit more complicated in terms of AI, because what we wanted to do was optimize salespeople. So not all salespeople are created equal, and for the most part, the way businesses work when they have multiple sales teams is they compare them against each other to find out which one's the best performer. That's not exactly the best way to do it, because you're only as good as your first salesperson at that rate, right? So if you average everybody out and you're just a little bit above average, you might not be a great salesperson, you're just better than everybody else here, right? It's like in the zombie movie. I don't gotta be the fastest person, I just don't want to be the slowest, right? I gotta be faster than at least one of you, and I will make it that far. So what we wanted to do was build it was a predictive analysis engine for their sales team that would allow them to plug in effectively sales performance in one end, leads in the other, and to facilitate basically this salesperson should get this lead, and then automatically feed that into the system. And so essentially what it did is we took audience segmentation, staff segmentation. We took performative analysis that we pulled out of their Salesforce and billing program, because that's how they manage this. And what we did is we built a model. We built an AI. And essentially this is what it did. The steps that we went through were, first we pulled all the data. We pulled all the data out of their Salesforce, pulled all the data out of their billing, their QuickBooks, basically. The reason why we wanted to know about the billing was because we wanted to identify, okay, what salespeople in what scenarios sell the fastest and sell the most, okay? This business that we did this for, hurricane protection. Hurricane protection is not a customer lifetime value business. They are not a subscription model. You are not a repeat customer. You're going to buy your shutters, you're going to buy your windows, you're going to buy your screens, and you're going to buy them once every 12 years. Okay, you're not going to be back very often. This isn't shoes. This isn't, a SaaS platform or anything like that. So what we wanted to do was take the data out of their system and understand, how do we give the right lead to the right salesperson? So what we did is we basically modeled how their sales worked, similar to this. So what we did is we broke up all their sales by region in Lee County in a heat map. Based on that, we found out, okay, in these regions and in these areas, this is where most of the revenue comes from. Either because the people have more expensive homes, they're looser with their money, who knows. But the idea was that we wanted to find out where most of the revenue was coming from. Second, we wanted to find out what days did people buy. Was it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Based on that, we found, what's up?
Is it residential, commercial, or both?
For this, it was residential. For the most part, commercial is very B2B, and it's all about relationships and who you know, and there's nothing you can really do about that one. But yeah, when we're talking about AI, you really want to make these kind of decisions at scale. And commercial, they really close like 40 deals in a year. That's like a good year. For these guys, it was like, no, we want to close like 40 deals in a week. So when we're talking residential, that's a great question. We want to identify where most of the revenue comes from, during the course of the week, and then based on this, identify when certain salespeople are put in the best position to succeed based on these numbers. So if we can figure out what salesperson sells the best in what area of Lee County on what time of day, when that lead comes in from the website or from the dispatcher or the phone number, and we know at Thursday morning, when a woman is assigned to you, you close 20% higher than everybody else. So what the AI is going to do is it's going to take that lead, it's going to send it to you. So it's not going to be a rotation. It's not going to be you got the last one, so you get the next one, and you get one, and you get one, and you get one. No, it's going to assign it based on what the model tells it. And the reason why that's beneficial is because now we're establishing baselines with each individual. And so when you're looking at a business, what it allows you to do is, from a business owner standpoint, the thing they love hearing is your sales are going to close at a higher rate, right? More revenue, more money. That's what they want, right? They get really excited by that. But it also helps them scale. So this business is basically, we only did it for Lee County, but it's from Tampa all the way down to Marco Island. If they wanted to go to Miami, well, now we can take this model and we can replicate it. And we can actually split it, because we might find that Miami is a completely different market than Southwest Florida. So we have to treat it differently. But the process, the business process that we automated is the same. It's the same company. Someone calls, they need new shutters, they get hooked up to a salesperson. That's flow, we can optimize that. Again, it's not a program that's going to win awards, but it's going to exist in the margins, and it's going to automate, and it's going to streamline how a business operates. And it's going to increase revenue. So again, when you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about the programs that you're coming up with, and the ideas that you want to create, and you want to provide value to those people that are going to sign your checks, either every 2 weeks or that one big investment angel investor, it's this. AI can really allow a business to create efficiencies in the margins and therefore scale effectively. Did you guys get all that? I should have asked that at the beginning. I can't see if they're saying anything. I'm assuming so.
Yes, we were recording.
Oh, okay. All right, any questions? What's up?
So I'm always curious about how you assign a dollar amount to this problem.
Oh, that's actually a lot of fun. So when you say assign a dollar amount to the problem, are you trying to say how much would you charge to solve it, or how much would you say this is costing business?
What's the value proposition?
Okay, so the best way to think about that is you have to break it down in terms of dollars in and dollars out, right? So if for the CPAP company, right? So effectively what they had is identifying cost associated with it. So if they had to pay 3 people to stay 3 hours later, that's overtime right off the top, right? The other thing you have to remember about them, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand about logistics companies hate their warehouse. They all hate it. The reason why is because a warehouse represents some cost. They already paid for that equipment. They don't get paid for that equipment that they bought until it's actually sold and put into somebody's account. So what that warehouse represents is just a dollar amount, a hole that they're throwing money in every single day just to house this stuff waiting to get installed. So the way that we can figure this out is we can identify first immediate costs that they have, either by personnel, software, training, things like that, right? And you can break that down in terms of dollars, amortized over 3 or 4 years, depending on what you think the lifetime of the software is going to look like. And the second thing is you look for, okay, based on this, you have part of it is back of the napkin, but it's an intelligent back of the napkin sort of conversation. All right, if we were able to have it to where you didn't have to pay anybody past 5 o'clock to get this done, and we were able to move inventory 20% faster, what does that mean for your bottom line? And so if they know that they don't have to house all this inventory in that time, and they don't have to, they can downsize their warehouse even because the product's moving through it a lot faster, what does that mean for them in terms of monthly expenses? And so when you kind of take that and then you basically break it out in terms of, okay, this product, the software that we're going to create, it's going to have a lifetime of about 3 to 5 years. That's what our cost is that we're going to save by doing this. How much are you willing to spend to save that cost? My hope is like all of it, because then that becomes revenue for us, and I can afford to feed my kids. So that's kind of how we come up with sort of the use case for like solving a problem when it comes to that.
And do you decide if it's per month or for the lifetime like that? You create the project, you pay up front for installments and phases, or is it every month you're paying us?
No, we want installments in the front and then monthlies on the back. The reason why is because I don't want to tie, so a great example would be like, let's say that CPAP company, right? We take that software, we amortize it over 5 years. If 3 years they go under, they got full value out of our software and we didn't get paid for that. We lost 2 years of revenue because of it. No, we want to get paid for our work up front. And then maintenance and support, that continues onward. That was a conversation we had like 10 years ago. Any other questions? Which guy?
Yeah, how do you balance, like you said that the program will know who to assign, you know, which reps will assign, depending on the time and the person. How do you make sure that everybody has an equal amount of jobs?
That's not the point, though. See, the point is to make sure that everybody has the equal amount of, the equal number of leads, right? That's not the point. The point is to maximize the revenue coming out of the sales department. And we're using already their data, their process, and their information, and their people to do that. Now, if the AI comes out and says, hey, all of our jobs are going to you guys, and I'm not getting any as a salesperson, well, you know, we kind of know where that's going to go because I'm underperforming as a salesperson. Maybe I need additional training. Maybe I'm just not selling the right product. Maybe I need to put in a different division inside the company, or worst case scenario, maybe I need to be moved into a different, yeah, I'll listen to that. I need to be creatively downsized. What's up?
I'm kind of curious, maybe I just want to miss this, so,
That's okay, I talk very fast, you're good.
So your business is a business consultancy, so like I'm surprised like the CPAP company, like they didn't go and hire a logistics software routing, that's a whole industry. Like, what caused them to come to you and then you're
That's
developing
actually
the hardware,
Yeah.
software, like.
Yeah. So Stickboy is, we do a lot of consultancy work, but mostly from the point of view of selling the job. So what we want is we'll sell our consultancy, but the idea is we actually want to do the software. We don't really do hardware very much. We've done it sometimes. The most fun thing I think we did was a moisture, and it was a water. What was it? It's like it was basically it was like a moisture and nutrient probe that you installed in a farm, and it was basically Internet of Things, but each one had its own internet connection. That's right. They would radio back to a central program software that we had. It would basically tell farmers, hey, your plants are, what was the term they used? In distress is what they called it. They need more water, they need more nutrients, they need these kind of fertilizers, whatever. It doesn't answer your question, but the point is, the main reason why is because over the years what I found is most out-of-the-box software only solves about 80% of any business's problems. The main reason for that is if you picture like natural distribution curve, right? So big going down the middle. That program, like let's say QuickBooks, okay? QuickBooks is designed to work for every possible business that could ever exist in the human mind, okay? Right? So they can't create a version of that for every single possible business that exists in the human mind, right? So they create one version and they basically spread out all the features and all the functionality that it can have to cover as much of that curve as possible. Now, there's going to be an area where every business kind of falls in that, where it's like when the designer and when the decisions were made inside, Quicken, when they were putting together, or Intuit, so when Intuit was making that software, they were putting together all these like boards and crossing things out, and stuff got cut and some stuff got saved. And where you fall in that graph is going to tell you how much of this business software can solve your problems, right? Well, here's the thing. Very large companies, Nike, Coca-Cola, Fortune 500, people that have their stock ticker on the S&P 500, they hire Oracle, IBM to do exactly what I'm describing to you right now. Because to them, 80% for a business, so for that CPAP machine, that 80% that they were using right there, they could use a logistics company off the side, they can work around it, and they can be like, all right, this gets 90% of what we need done. The other 10% is yellow pads and paper, or we use Slack to cover it up, or maybe we format our emails a certain way. They figure out a way around it. So that inefficiency costs them maybe like $400 or $500 a month. Not that big of a deal. But at scale, for Nike, that program leaving out 10% of what they do, that's millions of dollars. And so they will hire those businesses to come in and do exactly what I'm describing here. So it becomes a conversation when we're talking about out-of-the-box software, and we've done that. We have, through the course of our due diligence, have sat down with a client, we've understand their business, and we say, you know what, actually, this is going to be exactly what you need. We'll install it for you, we'll get you set up, we'll train you, and then we're done. And then you can just license it through that. I've had that conversation with people. It's rare though, because odds are every business is unique, and there's that little bit that's a little bit different, and it's how much of that gray area is gonna cost enough money that that's just gonna end up losing you more money than you're gonna gain if you just went this route. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Again, I tend to ramble.
Question? I don't know if we have another question on Zoom.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, so.
No questions
No questions Zoom?
from the magic machine? Cool, all right, I'll go sit down.
Thank you so much.